Oh, hello. Warren here again with the Peach State Prime Transformers channel. In today's video, we're kind of doing a retro review slash spotlight on Armada Laserbeak, which I was using to film filming myself, whatever, in this camcorder mode. We're going to take a look at each of its modes. And, of course, we'll do some comparisons to some of its namesakes as well as some other toys from the Armada line. Hope you stick around as we, dive into all things Armada Laserbeak. All right, we're going to start off first with Laserbeak's I guess what you call his robot mode or his bird mode here, and we'll do a 360. So of course, Armada Laserbeak is a bit different in pretty much every sense. First off, he's more of a role-play item, which is a standout in any Transformers toy line, yet alone Armada. Of course, his coloration here, his bright orange and blue color scheme is starkly different from any other Laserbeak that we've ever seen. And then lastly, he's an Autobot this time around, where he's firmly a Decepticon in every other toy line, media series, what have you. So he does kind of hold his own. He is a triple changer for those of you who are not aware. So first off, and usually in my videos, I don't do a lot of, transformations. However, this one's so simple yet effective. I'm going to show you how to convert them into every mode here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to put him into camcorder mode, which is essentially you take this head, push it back, it snaps into place. Take the wings, fold them in, then together into the body. Then you just fold his feet up. You flip this little screen out, and you have a camcorder. Oh, and as you just heard, he does have sound effects. And, of course, you do have this real strap here as well. Inside the camcorder, you do have a picture of the box art for Armada Optimus Prime. I'll be honest, the way that it's intentionally fuzzy, it almost looks more like Robots in Disguise Optimus Prime to me. That's Robots in Disguise 2001. However, I do believe it is Armada Optimus Prime. You have that nice, engraved Autobot logo in the back there. That's the speaker. You have all these nice molded details here. You have the double lenses there for high quality video recording. And like I said, there are sounds. Those are activated by these two gray buttons back here. So for instance, I think it's supposed to be some sort of recording noise. Then we have a snapshot noise. So that alternates between those two, and this back one is a blaster sound effect, and we'll show you what that's for here in a minute. And then you have that nice bird screeching noise. So obviously some intended for different modes here. So again, we've seen the bird mode. This is the camcorder mode, and then there is a blaster mode. And when I first started the video, I kind of had a hybrid camcorder blaster mode, but you just fold this video screen in like I just did. You flip this handle down, and this is a blaster. And there is another button here that activates sound, like you're raining down fire on some Decepticons. And then, of course, these buttons are so accessible here as well. So, pretty nifty. And then, of course, converting it back into the bird mode is just as simple. You flip the handle up. Now, one thing that's supposed to work, and it really doesn't, it never really did, is this dial here. You're supposed to be able to turn it, and the wings are supposed to flap up. Okay, we did get one to launch. Let's see if I can get that better on camera here. But I can never get them both to go up, and that was a common problem from its release. However, you can manually just push them up, and I'll demonstrate that here. Oh, okay, they both went that time. Boy, that's the first time, and I don't know when. Of course, you fold the legs down here. I think he likes being on camera. And then this blue button here, you just push that, and his head flips forward. So, you know, very simple and effective. You know, a fun toy. And it's very accurate of how Laserbeak appeared in any of the Armada media, the comics, and, of course, the television show. One thing I do want to note is this color scheme, you know, as bright as it is, and, you know, my favorite color is orange, and I think it looks great with blue. The original color scheme was very closely resembling the original Laserbeak, with mostly a dark gray / black for the orange parts, and then the highlights were in red. The problem is that blaster mode, even though it looks very abstract, it is still a blaster nonetheless. And, you know, any toy blasters, guns, what have you, are you know, they had to go with this safety orange, which, you know, at least it was the same across all mediums, so I don't fault them for it. And, you know, it's part of who this character is. So, as I said, you know, Laserbeak is more of a role-play item. Though I think he looks great on my shelf as he is. But anyways, with that being said, with him being more role-play-ish, it is kind of hard to really find a good comparison. I mean, you could use Real Gear figures from the 2007 movie. You can use Reflector, but I found some others that I kind of liked. So, you know, with this being an Armada toy, you know, some of the toys that came out around the same time, this is Demolishor. You know, this is one of my favorite original characters for Armada. And you can see, you know, they scale pretty closely. You know, this is a deluxe. Believe Laserbeak, boy, it's been too long. I believe he was sold, I want to say he was kind of his own price point. If you remember what he sold for in comparison to deluxes back in the day, leave a comment in the comments section. But anyways, you know, they were about the same size class. They were both on cards. And, you know, well, the toys do scale well together. You know, obviously Laserbeak was much smaller in the show. He was usually handled and you know, what was with humans. So, you know, my hand's probably a better scale than a robot. But looking at an actual toy, you can see how they look together on a shelf. Sticking with Armada, we have the cab portion of Armada Optimus Prime. You know, this big beefy bot, which I always liked for that reason. You can see, of course, Optimus kind of towers over Laserbeak here. But again, they don't look bad on a shelf together. Just, you know, remembering that, oh, this is Armada, not necessarily, oh, this is an accessory for Optimus. So again, just it being its own thing, you know, not bad being on a shelf. Now, the next comparisons I'm going to do are a bit different, but they make sense. So, as we said, this is Laserbeak from Armada. So it's only fitting that we compare Laserbeak to other Laserbeaks. Which, you know, you could imagine how it's going to go, but we'll go ahead and look at it. So the first one we have is the G1 mold. Now, this is the Walmart commemorative reissue for Transformers the movie. Came out a couple years ago, so the weapons and some of the paint jobs more animation accurate. However, you know, you still get that same transformation. It's the same mold. So, of course, you know, there's not much similar here other than the fact they're both birds, different color, and one's a Decepticon, one's an Autobot. But that's a version of the OG Laserbeak with Armada Laserbeak. Then we get into the Generations War for Cybertron video game Laserbeak, which, you know, this one turns into a disc rather than a cassette tape. You know, this one's more red and, you know, has a little bit more to it than the G1 figure. You know, so maybe this is a little closer. This one doesn't have feet, so it just kind of lays there. But, you know, so that's Generations War for Cybertron video game Laserbeak with Armada Laserbeak. Then we get a little bit bigger. This is the Titans Return Laserbeak, which, let me fix his foot here so he can stand up. This one here, like I said, is a bit bigger, but, you know, Armada Laserbeak still towers over him. Plus, this one's a little bit more black than even red. And then last but not least, we have Earthrise Laserbeak. Came with Earthrise Soundwave. You know, the notorious Walmart exclusive for a while there. And this is probably the smallest Laserbeak, at least I'm going to compare with. So, you know, Armada Laserbeak may be the only Autobot, but he still towers over all the others in toy form. All right, and here is your group shot, your family photo of the different Laserbeaks that we looked at in today's video. I don't quite have every single Laserbeak, but this is a good sampling of all of them. So I will say, you know, Armada Laserbeak is very much the, I guess, the black sheep or the black laser bird, however you want to put it, of the Laserbeak family. Between his size, his coloration, and of course his faction being an Autobot. However, still a great toy on its own merit, and the name fits. You know, I know a lot of people are just like, oh, they reused the Laserbeak name just for copyright. Yeah, part of that's true. However, I don't know what else I would have named, you know, this Armada figure. I think the name fits, and again, different fiction, you know, different origins, different appearance. So, you know, not bad. All right, so that was kind of a quick but thorough look at Armada Laserbeak here. Again, not a whole lot more to really dive into. Simple transformation, did some comparisons. And again, I think it's a fun toy. And again, I've always enjoyed having it on my shelf. It's a great fidget toy. Like, if you're working from home or whatever, or watching TV and, you know, you're in a meeting or, again, watching something, you just want to fiddle with something, this is a great fiddle transformer. And I just noticed, you know, ironically, I wore this bright orange t-shirt, well, reviewing a bright orange transformer today. And there we go with the screeching. Anyways, if you don't have this figure, it's, you know, and you find it reasonable, I recommend picking it up. You know, it is several years old now, But, you know, kind of holds up rather well. I mean, you do have the issue where this dial really doesn't release the wings, except for when it was just on camera. So it's very temperamental, but, you know, even so, here, I'll show you. If the wing's stuck, you just simply apply a little pressure, pull up a little, and, you know, it shoots right up. And that's what I've been doing with this figure most of the time since I've owned it, and it hasn't damaged it whatsoever. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this look at Armada Laserbeak. If you did, I do invite you to give it a like on YouTube. And of course, feel free to leave a comment. You know, what are your thoughts on this figure? You know, do you ever have this one? Do you like it? Hate it? You know, is it one of your favorites? Personally, it's one of my favorite Armada molds. Just because of how simple and fun it is, for all the reasons I said in this video. Anyways, of course, you can subscribe if you like to see more content like this and all things Transformers related. You know, reviews, if there's any special shops or events I attend, of course, I'll include those as well. And of course, if you like travel, particularly in the southern area, you can check out my other channel, Peach State Prime Southern Travel. And you can see all sorts of good stuff there. I do have coverage of the Atlanta Brick Con. And of course, I do have some extended looks at some of the antique and toy shops around here. Anyways, again, my name's Warren. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and God bless.